What's goody? Hey man, so recently, because of so many injuries throughout the NBA, there has been a conversation going around about should the NBA change its 65 game rule to which is the 65 game rule where you have to play 65 or more games of 20 plus minutes a game to be eligible for awards like All NBA, MVP, all those type of things, right? And the conversation is arising right now because guys like Nikola Jokic, Jason Tatum, um, Victor Wembanyama, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Williams, Giannis, all these guys are either completely like 100% out of the race for awards or are close to being out of the race for awards, and we're not even at the All-Star break yet. So a lot of people are claiming that, oh, the awards are going to get watered down, or we're going to go back and look at a player like Victor Wembanyama's career and be like, damn, he should have won a DPOI for at least two or three out of the first couple years of his career, and he didn't win it in any one of them, and we're going to be like, damn, is that because of the rule? Um, and I completely see the rationalization here, right? Because Nikola Jokic, especially, was, in my opinion, the favorite to win the MVP when he goes down with his hyperextended knee. And now, because of that hyperextended knee, he's pretty much completely out of the race, right? Because he's not going I doubt he's going to be able to rush back to hit the 65 games. So that just basically gifted the award. Well, granted, the Charlotte Hornets just beat them boys by about 30, but it essentially seemingly gifted the award to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, whether that happens or not, we'll see. But a similar thing happened last year where Victor Wembanyama goes down with DPOY. Literally, he was favored by about 1,000 million points to win DPOY, and then he goes down, he loses it, and then Evan Mobley wins DPOY. And history will never show that Victor Wembanyama really should have won the award that year. So I completely understand the sentiment. And I get, especially as this continues to happen with some of the biggest stars in the NBA, I get how people could be upset about this. But the reason why I pushed back on my initial thought, which was that I liked the idea, was because I looked at it and I was thinking about, like, I get your point if you're one of those people that's arguing that. But the reason I disagree with you is because it's not like Victor Wembanyama's missing by 5 games. It's not like Victor Wembanyama's missing by 8 or 10 games. Victor Wembanyama's playing 40, 45, maybe 50 games in these seasons where he's not winning these awards. And it's like, I get that that's a very particular case, but if a guy's playing half or right just above half of the games in the season, should he really have gotten the award anyway? Because can you be the most valuable at something when you're only available to do it half of the time? And that's a very good argument to have. And another argument that I have is that this is a good thing for the league. I would argue that getting guys like Jamal Murray getting their first All-Star nod, guys like Alperen Sengun or Jalen Duren potentially getting their first All-NBA selections, Jaylen Brown potentially getting his first team NBA selection, first MVP vote, all of this type of stuff is good for the league, and it's going to be good for these guys' accolades. When we go back throughout history, we look at so many guys. Like, we look at so many guys who were great. We look at Alex Englishes. We look at all these guys who were great players, Clyde Drexlers, who were Hall of Famers. But because they didn't win all of these greatest awards or have the most accolades because they were stuck in generations behind Michael Jordan, they were stuck in generations where they're behind Larry Bird at their position. This is going to be able to help some of these guys who are phenomenal basketball players get these accolades that they're very deserving of, but in past years wouldn't have been able to get because voters are just going to vote for the guys who we know are great and have been great consistently for years, whether or not they had a better season than someone who potentially could have made it that year. So I would argue that this is potentially a good thing for the league for that reason, as this gets more kids, this makes kids become fans of more players and of more teams, and this keeps them watching on nights even when their favorite team isn't playing, and it keeps them engaged and engaged around all 30 NBA teams rather than just being engaged in their favorite team. And maybe even when their favorite player goes down, it helps them to be like, hey, we don't have Jokic right now, we don't have we don't have Aaron Gordon right now, we don't have Christian Brown right now, but we do have Jamal Murray, and that boy's frying, and we're still winning games, and we're still staying in these games competitively, and all these things. I think this stuff is good for the NBA. And then I also look at it and I'm like, damn, are we really going to change this rule after only, 3, maybe 5 years of it being in place? Has it been to that much of a detriment that we really want to go back and change it that much? How many of the last MVPs, of the last DPOIs, of the last Rookie of the Years can we look at and be like, damn, this guy was 100,000% going to win it, and he didn't because he didn't hit 65 games? I can't think of that many examples. I can think of Wemby with DPOI last year, And I would say Jokic was the favorite to win MVP this year. Oh, and I would say Wemby DPOY this year if he doesn't hit the game threshold. But like, I I think that people are forgetting that the goal of this rule, the goal of this change was to get our stars to play in more regular season games, was to get fans more involved, more back in love, more back focused on and caring about the regular season. And it did that. Stars are playing more games now than ever. We're seeing less load management than ever. Obviously, when guys are seriously hurt, that's a different thing. But we are seeing guys sit out less for load management or sit out less for random injuries that are undisclosed and all of these things than we ever have before. And a big part of the reason for that is because of the 65-game rule, because guys care about what their grandkids are going to see or what their kids' friends are going to say when they look on Basketball Reference at a guy's accolades. Kids are going to be like, damn, Tim Duncan has all these accolades and your daddy doesn't because he wasn't playing these 65 games, and that's going to hurt some of these guys' egos. You got to keep in mind, these guys are some of the best in the world at what they do, and they have been for their entire lives in the most cases. So they're going to have some egos for the most part. So they want the accolades. I guarantee you they do. They want the bonuses that come with those accolades. They want the endorsements that come with having more accolades and with being seen as a greater player. They want the Instagram followers. They want the influence. They want all of that comes with being seen as a great player. So incentivizing them to play as many games as possible is a great thing. Now, what I will say is if you want to say maybe we change it to 60 games, or if you want to say maybe we make some exceptions depending on how bad the injury is. Like, let's say if an injury is going to keep you out for more than a month, then I don't know, it counts against you less. We only count the first month, or we only count the time where you're recovered, where you're, I don't know, something has to, I'm not mad at you if you say that something about the rule has to change, but when you start saying that we need to reduce it to 55 games, or even, honestly, even saying we need to reduce it to 60, I think is probably a little bit premature. That's when you kind of start to lose me a bit, because like the rule hasn't been in place for that long. So are we just going to see a couple exceptions to a rule happen over a couple of years every single time we change something, then we're just going to immediately tuck our tails in between our legs and get scared and change the rule back? No. I don't want to go back to seeing Kawhi Leonard on the bench in street clothes for 80 games out of the season when he maybe could have played for 20 of those games. I don't want to go back to seeing LeBron and AD going back and forth, not playing games because just because they feel like it. I don't want that. I don't miss that version of the NBA. And while there's problems in the NBA right now, and while I think the 65-game rule might be imperfect, I definitely think what it was put in place for, it has achieved that. And I think that has been a positive effect for the NBA. Obviously, let me know what y'all think about everything, man. I would love to hear different perspectives on this because I haven't heard a ton. I've only heard a few different people from a few different podcasts talk about this. So I would love to hear what y'all have to say. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what type of content y'all want to see. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if y'all enjoyed the video. And please don't forget to keep God first in your life always. All right, peace out. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Thank you as always for watching. All right, bye.